to have conversation, be open, be honest. Let's go talk on education, talk on how to be modest. Let's talk on politics, yeah, Rashara on the mix. No matter what you need, don't worry, we can get it fixed. I'm here to spread truth, I'm here to spread light. We can talk about it all night until we get it right. Motivation and inspiration.
Hey, welcome.
Together, we could all touch nations. Let's build an empire. We all kings and queens. I want to help you dream. Let's grow together. Let's learn together. Hot topics all day, like burning leather.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, there's feedback. Do you have your headphones on? You?
I do.
All right. Hey, Leanna. Hey, Shay. Just give us a second, guys.
I hope that makes it better.
Whoop, whoop, we good. Yes.
Awesome.
All right. So as people come in, I'm just going to play the theme song and invite people on, and we'll get started in just a second, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. Start it over. Hey, everybody. Welcome. As you come in, say hi so that we can say hi to you, as well as if you would please share the broadcast and invite your friends on and hit those likes and hearts. We'll be with you soon.
Let's talk on education, talk on how to be modest. Let's talk on politics, yeah, Rashara on the mix.
Jamar, what's up?
I'm here to spread truth. I'm here to spread light. We can talk about it all night until we get it right. Motivation and inspirational rotation. If we work together, we could all touch nations. Let's build an empire. We all kings and queens. I want to help you dream. That's always been my dream. Let's grow together. Let's learn together. Hot topics all day, like burning.
Hey, Jackie, James, how you doing? Greetings, George. Welcome. Hey, everybody. So good to see you guys.
On Thursdays, Facebook Live. On Thursdays.
Tiara, good night. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, you finally made it. I hope it's a good discussion for you. All right, guys. So welcome. Hey, everybody. I see your hearts. Hey, how you doing? So my name is Tashara, and I am the host as well as the developer of Ask Tashara Thursdays, which is a show that I created to talk about various topics that we traditionally don't talk about in an open platform so that people can get it. So I really believe in meeting people where they are and utilizing technology to do so. And so thank you guys so much for joining. I do want to preface it by saying this is an open platform for you guys to share your opinions. And so I really don't do rules, but there's one thing that I do ask, and that's that we respect everybody's opinion. We do not have to agree, but we just ask that you respect everybody. Can we agree to that? Dr. Donna, would you say you would agree to that too?
I can definitely agree to that.
Yes. And so tonight's discussion is colorism and texturism. And I'm so excited to have Dr. Donna with us. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce her to you guys. I'm going to read her bio, and then I have a quick game / icebreaker that I want us to try virtually. So we'll see how that works, and then we'll get into the discussion. Sounds good, everybody?
Oh,
whoop, whoop.
Sounds exciting.
Yes. So we have the pleasure of hosting Dr. Donna Oriolo with us tonight. And so Dr. Donna is an international speaker, a licensed clinical social worker, and sex and relationship educator and therapist located in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Dr. Donna is a first-generation Nigerian American. Shout out to the Nigerians out there. Woo woo. Firstborn. Woo woo. Book reading, school loving, therapy doing, passionate teacher, and founder of Anod Right. Dedicated to helping others reclaim their sexuality, identity, and self-love. Dr. Donna places an emphasis on addressing mental health, intersectionality, culture, and racial justice in both educational and therapeutic settings. She creates and presents dynamic and transformational presentations that are both educational as well as entertaining. With a focus on developing healthy Black feminine sexuality, Dr. Donna has completed keynotes, presentations, trainings, and workshops that fill the gap and assist Black women in reclaiming their sexual freedom while being culturally relevant. So basically all that means is she's not new to this. She's true to this. Y'all understand? This is important because to her, Black sexuality matters, especially Black female sexuality. Dr. Donna collects inspiring quotes. She likes to travel to expand her mind and shift her worldview. She gives firm handshakes, warm hugs, and knocks on the head. And so everybody, if you would do me the pleasure and hit those hearts for a virtual round of applause for our lovely guest today, Dr. Donna. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I know this is your niche, and for those podcast lovers out there, I first was introduced to Dr. Donna through another podcast / show, which I love, Therapy for Black Girls, and kind of talking about on the same topic a little bit. And so I reached out to her, and I'm so amazed and forever grateful that she accepted to be on. So I'm excited. So I do like to do icebreakers because, again, a lot of us don't know each other. And so I wanted to try to figure out a creative way to do an icebreaker and to kind of get into the topic and make us all relate to the topic. And so here we go. So the game that we're going to play is basically 10 questions about color and hair, as we're talking about colorism and texturism. And so I'm going to read the questions individually, and you guys can comment your responses. Hey, Maria. Hey, Nishay. You can comment your responses in the comment section. And then as I read them, Dr. Donna, I want you to answer them. Cool?
Okay.
All right. Everybody ready? Let's see those hearts. Let's see those likes. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Where the hearts? Where the likes? Let's see. There we go. All right. All right. So question number 1. I hope you guys are in a space where you can type. What age did you recognize your skin color?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm supposed to answer, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I think I recognized it probably like 5 or 6.
Wow. 5 or 6. Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys comment as we're going along. So the first question is, what age did you recognize your skin color? Someone else said 5. Okay. Number 2, and I should probably, actually, let me post them as we're going. All right, question number 2. What color did you think you were at age 5? You guys kind of said it.
I knew I wasn't white.
Oh my God. Yeah. The process of elimination. She knew she wasn't white. Okay.
I knew I wasn't white.
Question number 3. What's your natural hair color?
This one right here.
Swag.
Is that black? What is this, like black, dark, brown? I don't know.
Okay, nice. Some people are saying as early as 4 that they recognize their color. Wow. Okay. Question number 4. What do you prefer? Short hair or long hair?
Ooh.
That's for you?
It depends on the day of the week.
Okay.
I like the idea of long hair. I think it's really inconvenient for me personally. So I'm more of a medium length, about here, maybe stretched hair, but I'm going to wear it up here. So, good.
Okay.
Ooh.
And so let's flip that too, because I didn't think about that when I wrote the question. So what about in a significant other? Do you prefer long hair or short hair?
I've liked both, and my partner has had both.
Okay.
Yeah. I like it short now, though, because I get to really reach the scalp without, encumberment.
Easy access. I feel you. Okay.
Yep.
Some people are saying they never really thought about their color or their question. Interesting. Okay. Depends on the mood for hair. I agree. Question number 5. Have you ever utilized the phrase good hair?
Yes.
Especially
when I was younger.
Right. Oh, you got that good hair, that good curl pattern.
Oh, okay. Oh, you think you everything because you got good hair.
Oh, come on. Let's see what the viewers say, because that's a tough one. Let's see how many people are on this. Have you ever utilized the phrase good hair? Yeah. Okay. People say yes. All right. Question number 6. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I appreciate that level of honesty.
Isn't it true? That's
It's
real.
real.
Real, especially on a public platform like this, you know. I appreciate you guys. Y'all, my followers are real MVPs. Okay, question number 6. Have you ever had locks?
No. It is in my future, though.
Come on, future. You know, side note, I'm seeing that, like, the trajectory for Black women is, like, once they leave, like, the whole relaxed journey and they go team natural, it seems like locks are just, like, that next step.
Natural progression.
Yeah, it's just, like, there's levels to this. I might have to join. I might have to join that club. I've never had locks either. Jamar says, of course. You still got locks. No, but I heard that it used to be good. Look good on you? I guess that's what you meant. Okay, George. Boom. Question number 7. If you could choose your skin complexion, would you choose a different shade?
No. It took a while to get there. But when I got there, I was like, nah, I'm straight. Ain't
no going back.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And if you don't mind, like, at what age or around what age range did you become comfortable with your skin complexion?
I'm not sure when I became most conscious of it.
Okay.
But I knew there was absolutely no going back. And that true acceptance of myself definitely happened around the time that I was doing my dissertation on colorism. Well, on texturism, but having to also think about colorism and how it plays a role.
Nice. Okay. Everybody's saying no. I don't think so either. You know, now that I'm loving Black culture more and learning more, I think if I would change it, I would want to be darker. I just love that deep melanin shade. It's beautiful to me. But of course, growing up, it's like the lighter you are, the better looking you are. It was kind of like that ideology, if you will. But good. What are we on? Question number 8. Type yes, or Dr. Donna, say yes if you've ever heard the statement, "You're pretty for a Black girl."
Yep. And you're pretty to be African. You smell good to be African.
Come on with the sayings. Go ahead, keep it rolling. Yeah, that brings its own another level of things. Yeah. Wow. You speak good English for an African?
Mm-hmm. I'm like, I was born here.
Oh my gosh.
English is my first language, y'all.
Right.
And it's the official language of Nigeria. Just
right.
saying.
Thank you for the shameless plug, because a lot of people don't know that. Wow. Okay, everybody's saying yes. You're pretty for a Black girl. Question number 9. Have you ever been burned by a pressing or hot comb?
I just talked about that this week on my Instagram. But they tell you it's steam, so now I don't know. Was I burned? I'm not sure. They said it was steam. It tasted like metal.
No, that wasn't no steam.
No. I'm like, what's this scorch mark right here on my forehead? It was
the back of the ear?
Oh, gosh, crispy ears.
Listen.
To this day, the smell of burning hair.
It's traumatic. It's like PTSD, for sure. All the guys are like, no, I've never experienced that. Listen.
You are blessed.
Yes, just tell the Lord. Thank you. Leanna had a comment. She said, how about you're Black, but you're not black? Yeah, that's a good one. And those come from Black people as well. Yes. Of course. And then question number 10. Can you easily find nude lipstick at the department store?
No. I mean, I guess now, because everybody wants to be for brown people.
Right.
I guess, wait, you said easily and at the department store.
Yeah, not, Black-owned businesses or online. Going to Target, JCPenney, Macy's, and finding your color nude lipstick. Or nude Band-Aids.
A nude Band-Aid for brown people?
Jackie says not applicable. What about nude band-aids, Jackie? I know you don't wear no lipstick. So what's nude?
I like yeah, who's nude? They have flesh tone things at the it's not my flesh, but you know, they got it.
It's not my flesh. I'm so done. Oh man. Well guys, thank you so much for playing the game. If you like it, hit those likes and hearts. Thought it was pretty cool, a pretty fun way to get the conversation rolling and to get us involved in the conversation. And so with that being said, Dr. Donna, I have the first question for you. So in your terminology, in your words, what is colorism and texturism?
To me, colorism and texturism are the children of racism. So it is about the hierarchy that places white supremacy and white beauty above everybody else. So straight hair as being the standard, that would be texturism. So the kinkier or curlier, coilier your hair gets, the worse off you are. And colorism, same thing, that the lighter your skin, the more privileged you are. The darker your skin, the less privileged you are.
Okay. And have these always been a thing and we're just naming it, or has it become more prevalent like now? Like you mentioned doing a dissertation about it. Talk about the prevalence or how it's the awareness of those two topics.
I think it's just like this, you know, like people talking about violence going on now. It's not that it's more violence. It's just that we have access to people's thoughts a lot more now. So so people are talking about it, but we're actually able to listen to it. So there's easier access for hearing people's foolishness around what they're saying and what they're doing. So I think there were some fathers that recently were like light-skinned babies, like go light-skinned babies or something like that. So I think it's just that we see it more because it's now online.
Yeah. Yeah, just like any other main issue or topic, it's like doesn't mean it's getting worse. So we're just more aware to it, you know, like social media and all these things. We literally have access to people 24/7.
Yeah.
Okay. And so regarding those two topics, how have you seen those dynamics, if you will, affect Black and Brown communities?
It impacts us in such it is such a long-lasting and deeply hurting way that this thing can sort of hit us. And people don't think about it, but it does impact us both mentally, physically, sexually.
Let's break that open. So how does it affect us mentally?
Well, mentally, there's that space. Actually, they're all really interconnected, but in that space of feeling like you are less attractive because, number one, you know, like we already have the main division of white versus Black. And if you're not white, then you're automatically thought of as being more of an alternative sort of beauty. So then you're already not white. So now it doesn't matter how light your Black is, but if you are of color, you are now officially somewhere near the bottom of things, just sort of jockeying for position. Black people, especially Black women, are always at the bottom of that hierarchy. So there is a desirability hierarchy within the US that has whites as number one, Asians are number two, Latinx number three, Black is number four. Black can never advance in this system because we and whiteness are the anchors. We have been pit exactly opposite against it. So there's no way for us to achieve what other people of other races are able to achieve as far as moving up within this hierarchy to be closer to whiteness and thus closer to privilege. So mentally, there's a piece of feeling like you're stagnant, that you cannot advance, that can come into play, but also impacting how you think and feel about yourself, your value and what you look like, which in turns can make you feel anxious or depressed about what you look like, have a lower self-esteem, which then in turn impacts your sexuality. So more likely to engage in behaviors that you may not want to engage in because you're trying to compensate for what you look like, or to spend a lot of time, they call it spectatoring. So when you are engaged in sex with a partner or with partners, depending on what you're into, you spend more time in your head thinking about what you look like and what you're, like, what is my afro doing when I'm laid down and all that, than about the sex that you're having, which also will impede your ability to have an orgasm.
That's really good. That's really good, because then it's like, I found that some of my friends and some of the people that I connect with and work with, they tend to ask people that, if it's a female dating a male, they'll ask like, well, do you like girls natural, or do you like relaxed hair or long hair? Like, they're asking all these questions. So even if it's whether we knowingly do these things or if it's an unconscious thing, it definitely does affect us in all three aspects: emotionally, mentally, as well as sexually.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and financially. Don't want to leave that out.
True.
Darker, kinkier people are less likely to get the job and more likely to be paid less to do the job than people that are lighter than them or white.
Yeah. It's true. Guys, thank you guys again. Hey, Maurice. Hey, Shoshana. Everybody that's coming in, thank you for joining us. Right now we're talking about colorism, texturism with Dr. Donna. And if you have questions throughout, specifically about this topic, now I know that there's injustice in other areas or in other cultures, but right now we're specifically talking about this particular scenario. So if you have questions about this topic as we move forward, just go ahead and post them or comment, and we'll get to them accordingly. Okay, cool. So we talked about the dynamics and how it affects Black and brown people. So would you say, because in my research and as I'm listening to different people talk about like colorism and texturism, some people say that it's not, that other ethnicities cannot have this, basically that, like, so if someone is Caucasian, that they don't have, there's no colorism in them. Can you explain that dynamic? What's your thoughts on that? That it's a Black thing.
No, it's not. It's not ours.
I love it.
It doesn't belong to us. We maintain it, but it's not ours. So, this is all from the house that white supremacy built. They built these dynamics. They built this stuff, and it has been so ingrained into the psyche that we don't even have to think about it to enforce it. We have to think about it to do the reverse. So It's not ours, but we definitely help to maintain it through our actions and making sure that we continue to perpetuate it. We continue to praise and share the pictures and say how beautiful light-skinned babies are. We continue to talk about in veiled context now, because we don't say it out loud the same way, but we continue to talk about good hair.
Yeah.
We continue to talk about light skin. We continue to push those people toward the front. Look at the music industry. Some of the least talented people end up at the front because they have the right look. And some people will never receive their day of full praise because they are too dark, because they're too kinky, because they are too quintessentially Black and don't have enough of other for us to be like, oh, they're more exotic now.
Wow.
But yeah, that's not ours. White people can be racist for sure. And some people will argue that white people are always racist and that they have to work to be not racist every single day. That racism is the default. And I agree that racism is a default.
Okay.
But then that colorism piece plays in with how it is perpetuated in white spaces. So there are studies that talk about how white people think that lighter skinned Black people and mixed race people are smarter than darker skinned non-mixed race Black people. That's still colorism.
Make it plain.
And racism at the same time. So
at the same time, yeah, that's like, people would say, like, if President Barack Obama was darker, would he really have made it to be president?
If Michelle had natural hair, would he have made it in that White House?
Yeah, true.
Natural hair that she was wearing in the afro.
Right, because that's not professional when you wear your hair the way it grows out of your scalp. Yeah.
Yes, it's unnatural.
Exactly. What are your thoughts on that? I really want this to be an edifying discussion. So I know some of you guys are probably biting your nails, but it's truth. So I want to hear some comments from you guys. Can you elaborate on how racism is the default?
And this country was built up on racism. Now, I don't want to get it confused to say that Black people at the bottom was because they were brought here, because that's not really how it went. So when the first Black folk were brought to this country, they were here as indentured servants, along with white indentured servants. And when they were done with their servitude, they were able to just go ahead and go do whatever they do. Now, at some point, they wanted to change some of the stuff over, because when all the indentured servants, white, Black, got together, as well as indigenous population, when they got together, they were threatening to overthrow the capitalism that was attempted to be built. So they said that Blacks would be forever enslaved, and that they would have no rights, so that those who were indentured white servants could feel better about themselves and not want to sort of team up with them against the capitalist society that they were trying to build at large. Now, none of us are benefiting from this system as it's set up. If you're poor white or you're of color, this system is not designed for us at all.
Period.
It's designed for rich white people, but also to make white people feel better about themselves by being able to say, even if you're not rich, you're still better than those Negroes. So the country is literally built on racism. The original police officer's job was to catch slaves, or those who were trying to run away. So the premise of this country, as we know it now, is built off the idea that Blacks are at the lowest function of this country, and that whites are at the highest, and that those things can't change. That's why I said that they were anchors earlier.
Mm. Hopefully that helps, Jackie. Yeah, and it just shows you that everything is connected, and so how this directly relates to the topic is, like, Dr. Donna said earlier, it's like colorism and texturism are like the babies of racism. And if we don't understand that, it's literally, we can just go through our life with emotions and not realizing how we're contributing, and we're helping maintain that system that was created for us in regards to being prejudiced against our own color and our own for their hair texture. There's also, people that say, or, we see it when we see, like, so natural hair, it's a whole movement now, which is great. And we'll see that those that have more kinky, forcey curl patterns are not what we normally see in advertisements or what we want as our natural hair. We want those looser curls, or we try to put all the products in our hair so that we can look that way. And some of our hair will never look that way just because of the dynamic of our hair. And so even that, we still ascribe and we try to fit into these specific ideas of what beauty is, in those colors.
Even some of those more feeling like innocuous things, like twist outs, are also about, in a way, changing your texture.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast that talked about that, and I was like, "Ooh, that hit me hard."
Yes, and even gelling down those edges. Like, if you can't leave your house without your edges
being
laid to the gods, then we have to start asking ourselves those tough questions, like, why? Because we say that, it's our preference, but I'm like, things that are our preference are rarely our preference within a bubble. So we have to think about the larger issues the things at large that sort of contribute to these preferences that we have.
True, because they stem from somewhere.
Exactly.
It's tough. It is tough. So, my hair is natural, and I work in a outpatient behavioral health clinic, and I'm the only African American there. And every time I go in, like, literally, so today my hair is in a ponytail. Yesterday I had my natural afro out, just my whole hair. And every time I go into work, it's always something, or, oh my gosh, like, can I touch your hair? Or, wow, like you always do something different with your hair. Like, what did you just get up and decide I'm going to change it? And so yesterday I said, literally, this is how my hair grows. Like, it's not a hairstyle necessarily. Like, this is how it grows. And so for those individuals that work in certain settings, we have to literally think about, man, is this okay to go to work like this? Am I going to be sent home? Does this look professional? So can you talk a little bit about that? Or do you see that with the women that you work with in private practice?
Definitely. And it comes out in so many ways. Like, even in my own experience, there was questions about what jobs when I was job hunting. I used to wonder, like, oh, am I going to get the job with this hair? And I was like, okay, let me slick this thing back and, see what I can do to make it more acceptable going in. Like, there's this meme out there, like, on the one end, it's like, oh, okay, you got the straight hair before at the job interview, but then you got the afro when you come in on that first day.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people still feel that there is a professional way to wear your hair in a job setting. So people try to, at the very least, adhere to that. And I definitely see this in therapy. My focus when I'm talking about sex and relationship therapy is actually of colorism and texturism and how those impact mental and sexual health. So, like, I'll have clients that talk about how much time they spend trying to basically sculpt their bodies to meet white supremacist standards.
Yes.
And how much stress it actually causes, because, like, yes, we're good at it. We love to revere ourselves sometimes on our ability to code switch. But I'm like, code switching is nothing that we should be all that proud of. And certainly not something that white people should be proud that we do. We basically continue to pander to white comfort at our own expense.
Wow. With no questions. It's just normal activity for us.
Yeah, it's and the thing is, it's so easy. Like, it's almost something that you don't even have to think about too hard, right? It's just, let me pick out the clothes that hide my backside, lest they say, I'm trying to tempt somebody. Let me wear my hair in a way that is going to be acceptable. Let me tone down my language. Let me cast my eyes down. Let me step off the sidewalk or move to the side when I see someone coming. Like, we do the things so easily, so often, and with a natural ease that we don't think about ourselves first. We think about their selves first, though we are also trying to maintain our own safety and governance and jobs. We like to eat. I don't know about you, but about 3 meals a day is my minimum. So
baseline.
I like to eat, like to have a roof over my head, have a place to shower that's not a gym. So all these things sort of come back. So part of it is our self-preservation, and we have become naturals at it. But that means that white people have never had to learn or get used to our Blackness in educational and workspaces. So they're always going to be like, oh, well, look at you. I see you did your hair different again today. May I touch it?
Yes, it's so true. We don't give them a chance to learn because it makes us uncomfortable. So we just go back.
And even, like, more than just giving them a chance to learn, we don't give ourselves a chance to be.
Nice.
So we already, through our actions, we teach our children, we teach our nieces, our nephews, and of course we talk to them explicitly about what we think they should do, how they should act, how they should behave in these spaces where white people are also going to be congregated. So we sort of teach levels of shame about ourselves, and it just sort of gets perpetuated generation after generation.
Yeah. There's a couple comments I want to read, and then I have a question for you. So Leanna said earlier, I'm seeing a lot of slick down. She works in the school system. I'm seeing a lot of slick down edges within the school system. Now, it's funny that 10 years ago, it was never like that. It was never the it thing, but our girls are always adapting to new beauty styles, no matter the generation. So Shauna says, my locks, I love them, but sometimes I wonder what all my white administration thinks about it. She's also a teacher, especially when it's not freshly retwisted, because it's unprofessional to have my hair nappy or nappy roots. Ernell says, I cut my locks in an attempt to get a promotion to seem less threatening. Wow.
That is perhaps one of the saddest things I've heard today.
And it's unfortunately a real thing. Yes. Wow. And Ernell, how long were you locked? How long did you have your hair locked before you cut them? It's crazy. It's like, and you know, hair is such a big part of who we are. And so to have to literally forsake some of a portion of you for a job, it is one of the saddest things that I probably have heard today as well.
And we become so used to it and so desensitized. We don't think of it as a travesty as we should. That it is second nature to bend our will to white supremacist standings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's become a reality.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, there may be some people on Dr. Donna right now. It's like, you know, this conversation is cool or whatever, but Dr. Donna is in private practice. She can do her own thing. She's making her own money. She's calling her own shots. I'm still working for the white man. What am I supposed to do? Can you speak to that person right now?
You can do what I did and leave the white man.
Oh, Jesus.
Honestly, that's probably one of the biggest reasons that I got into private practice. I was tired of living my life according to someone else's rules and their thoughts of me. Like, even in a mostly of color environment, it was still white supremacist leanings and rules. Like, I was pulled aside at my good government job in DC about how my body and my style might be found attractive to the kids that I was working with. Now, mind you, no child had ever approached me sideways.
Wow.
But they felt it was appropriate to tell me that. They were like, well, you shouldn't wear. I didn't understand the problem, and it wasn't even skin tight, simply because, you know, I can't. For me, that's a no. But they still found need to talk to me. I had been talked to about my hair. I had been talked to about how I present in various spaces. And this was at a mostly Black space at that time. So I know I needed to move. So I left. I went to a school in DC where they were going to help Black and brown children and do all this work. And then I saw that most of the administration was white. Most of the teachers were white. All of the students were Black. And they had a whole Captain Save-A-Hole mentality that was going on. Like, we're going to help these kids with these Pure One pillows.
Yeah.
So I had to leave them. I went to another agency. And it was some of the same stuff that it just sort of repeated itself, even though that was a Black-owned space with Black clients. But there's this idealized racism. So we also think of ourselves in a lot of ways as being less, and we perpetuate that ideal that somehow we worth less, we do less, we should cost less, et cetera, et cetera. So I had to leave again. Ultimately, I had started my own practice because I decided that it was time for me to divest from whiteness. Whiteness does not run my practice. I run my practice. I had chose art that is reflective of the people that I see. And over time, I also had to learn to let go of some of those, like the idea of professional dress. I'm like, well, what does that mean? I'm the professional. My clothes are not going to help you to get any of this degreed knowledge any better. My use of vernacular or jargon is not going to help you to better understand me while getting my point across. So I speak like me, I do me in my practice, and I find that my clients appreciate it. So I stopped subscribing. And I work to divest more and more every day because, unfortunately, we still live in America. America is still going to be racist tomorrow. It's still going to be racist probably 5 to 10 years from now. And if it's going to keep doing that, then I know that I have to continually be on my moving it forward. How did this thing impact me today? What is that thing that I said today? What is that thing that I did today? How did I change up myself to make white people more comfortable? And how can I stop doing that? How can I be me? Was that me or was that somebody else? So constantly questioning, learning, and growing. There are levels to this thing. So every day, I'm like, you encounter a new level.
I love it. I think, yeah, I'm gonna just let that sit.
But don't go get fired.
Right.
Don't go get fired. So, definitely come up with a plan that seems viable. But generally speaking, and as I have witnessed as a therapist, there is no job that is worth your mental health.
Come on.
And your peace of mind, because that mental health stuff, it will manifest itself physiologically. So you're going to start having stomach aches. It's harder and harder to get out of bed in the morning. Like you're getting to work later and later. You feel more and more panicked the closer Monday comes. So by Sunday, 5:00, you start feeling some type of way. Is that the life you want to live?
Or every week you just anxious for Friday. It's true.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking like we have such a dread for Monday. I'm like, Monday never did nothing to me.
Hello, me either.
And I'm just like, everybody talking about how much they hate Monday because Monday is not close enough to Friday. We hope we are living for the weekend, which means we are not living a real life.
Exactly. Yes. Jackie says we have to come to a place where we no longer hold ourselves and others that look like us to European beauty standards. It's true. And that's why this conversation is so needed, because we have to take ownership. We're faulty too. Just like earlier in the game, we talked about using the saying good hair. Things like that, or, you're pretty for a black girl. It's even black individuals are people that say that. So we need to take ownership of what we can do, because we can't control anyone else. We can control ourselves. And so that's what this conversation is really hoping to enlighten us to do better for ourselves. So in that same vein, can you talk about how detrimental it is for us to be on this whole light skin versus dark skin thing, in adulthood as well as in for children, how we classify kids, or maybe two siblings, one is lighter, one is darker, and we comment on the different colors of the different shades of their skin?
Oof. There is no benefit to us constantly trying to divide ourselves up by our color. It is already done for us. We don't need to perpetuate it. Now, in that same vein, that does not mean that we shouldn't talk about it, that we shouldn't talk about colorism, that we shouldn't talk about texturism. Some people think that conversation is divisive, and I think that is very short-sighted to think that just because we talk about something that now means we perpetuate it. We need to talk about it because there are benefits being felt by some of us that we are not wanting to recognize as part of the reason sometimes for our successes. So when you're the darkest of the dark, when you're the kinkiest of the kinky hairs, and someone is trying to tell you that all black experiences are the same, we turn ourselves into a monolith and ignore other people's pain, which makes it even more difficult for us to come together so that we can progress to a place where we can all be comfortable in where we are. Like, yes, there are benefits to being light skinned, but there are also drawbacks. People continue to basically say that, oh, you're not black enough. And that can be hurtful for people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, nobody wants to hear they hated me because I'm pretty. Because that comes up a lot too. Like this idea, like, oh, well, they used to pick at me because I was cute. And I'm just like, but did you hear what you just said?
Mm-hmm.
You have you have fallen into and drank that Kool-Aid deeply. You are now pretty, which means that you have now turned them into less than pretty.
Wow.
And I know that's hard to hear because we want to say that, oh, like colorism, like people have expressed colorism toward me as a light-skinned person. I'm like, well, colorism and texturism go in one direction only. It's the same as racism. So I'm like, if you are benefiting, it doesn't mean that you are not still negatively impacted. It doesn't mean that you can't experience prejudice. It just means that it ain't colorism, boo.
Right.
Just like white people are not experiencing racism. They're experiencing prejudice. But we don't want to have that conversation because we believe that it's divisive. I believe that it helps to open our eyes and join us together to be able to see and recognize and hold each other's pain, as opposed to trying to say that my pain is worse than your pain, because sometimes it can turn into the oppression Olympics, if you will.
Yes,
like everybody wants to be worse off. Who's worse off? Who got it worse? I'm looking like, if we want to be honest, in a lot of ways, none of us. Colorism is a global phenomenon. And some people would argue that Black Americans, that if you're here experiencing colorism, you probably are better off than the world at large. Some people would argue that. So I'm just like, I think all things are relative, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't express or talk about our pain just because someone else's pain is worse than ours. Yes. Because that often keeps people out of my therapy office when they need to be there. They're like, well, I don't hear voices, so I shouldn't be in therapy. I'm like, you can't. I'm like, okay.
Talk.
They're like, oh, I didn't want to take up space from somebody who really needs it. Excuse me, ma'am.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
I'm like, your pain as it is in its manifestation and how it shows up is completely 100% valid. It doesn't matter if you just had a bad day